Hey everybody, it's Adam Cardinal, Cardinal and Company team at HomeSmart. You are about to watch Home Buying 101 series sponsored by TMF and Shamrock Home Loans. Great informative series, many parts to this. Check them all out. If you have any questions about this series, feel free to call us right down at the number below and enjoy watching the video. Hey guys, Adam Cardinal here. You're about to watch the next section of Home Buying 101 sponsored by TMF at Shamrock Home Loans. We are here today at Balkun Title and Closing. Check out this backdrop. We're here with Dan Balkun. Dan, thank you so much for
Adam, thank you very much for coming in today. Yes, absolutely. You and Shamrock have been great partners over the years.
Yeah, that's all.
I'm looking forward to having a nice talk with you today.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, this would do educational, give everyone some information, and hopefully you guys will come see Balkun Title when you need your closing docs done, whether you're a seller or a buyer. First thing, how long have you been in this business on your own doing other things, but then more specifically for Balkun Title?
I was originally introduced to the business in 2004, so that's when I first got my feet wet. I worked for multiple attorneys over the years, for about 12 and a half years, and we opened up Balkun Title and Closing in June of 2016.
Yep.
So we just celebrated our 6th year, which was fantastic.
A little round of applause virtually.
Maybe Ben can throw some clapping in there as we're listening. So yeah, it's been a great experience. It was something that I never thought would happen, and as you start to go with life, and you look at different things, and we're truly honored to be able to help families, help people, and I truly am blessed when it comes to this.
And I love that too. You don't treat clients just like a number. You actually get involved. Your staff gets involved, and people are genuine here in this office. It's not like robots. You go to some offices and it's just like very systematic.
I've been fortunate with that as well. They've taken on my personality, and I think that one of the areas that I've been very successful at is communication and building relationships as we speak here, as we go. And that has carried over to the staff, because if you can get the staff to feel and think like you do, then everything else seems seamless. Communication, picking up the phones, things of that nature that actually clients truly love. And obviously when you come in, there's no reception desk. So you come in, you go to the back, you grab waters and sodas and whatever your client needs. It just puts a nice relaxed touch to it, I believe.
Yeah, it does. Someone's just got their offer accepted. They're going into contract, whether it's on the seller side or the buying side. What should they be looking for? If they're going to, we want to give our referrals as realtors all the time.
Sure.
Lenders want to give their referrals. If somebody's going on their own, they want to go outside the referral box. What should they be looking for in a closing office for real estate?
I would say one, the referral that comes directly from the referral. So if they're working with Adam Cardinal and the Cardinal team, like if you say, okay, here are the 3 options that we give, that typically is a good start for a client, right? So they have an opportunity to vet and call and possibly make a decision based just solely on that. The second part that I believe is, just like we just spoke about a couple of minutes ago, it's being accessible, it's feeling like they matter, so an open door communication. So I would say that at the very least, communication is our strongest point. There are always going to be mistakes, and I say that only because we're not perfect.
People are human,
And things come up sometimes that are just uncontrollable. Whether it be a walkthrough, whether it be whether it be a title. So at the end of the day, as long as there's communication and they have a feel that they're working for me, then we typically have a great transaction. And it usually is trumped by the referral partner. Because you wouldn't refer unless you wanted you don't want your deals to go bad, right? Nobody wants the process.
Anyone who's referred has been vetted through time.
Correct.
So you're not just giving, let me give this person, give that person. We actually even sign a referral disclosure to our company that tells, hey, we're not getting any money back for this. We're not getting a kickback. We're not we are giving you a good, solid lead for somebody to work with that we know you can trust.
For your best success. For their best success, especially a first-time home buyer who, I call it the deer in the headlights. They're following you around, they're looking at houses, they're going to see the loan officer, they're getting pre-qualified, they're getting all their documents, so it's a whirlwind of information that they're trying to accomplish, and we're the last step. So if everything goes great and then they have a bad experience or they have a tough closing, we're looking for reviews just like yourself. We're looking for repeat clientele just like yourself. We're looking for referrals just like yourself. So it's nice when you get a call out of the blue that maybe the gentleman or lady that bought their home, they call me in a year and they're refinancing.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, oh, do you mind if we use you? And I'm like, yeah, maybe, you know. But that's like the biggest compliment. You know, I know you see it on the back of people's business cards, the biggest compliment I can have is a referral.
Yeah.
But when somebody calls you out of the blue or they referred from that client, what a special feeling it feels internally to feel accepted, one. And two, to know that you did a great job for that client where they trusted their best friend, their family, their mother, their sister, their brother to come to see you.
And that's what happens. So you see like the further you get into this business, you see the generations. I have one family, the grandparents' house, the parents' house, the son, daughter, condo, sell, and it's just...
That's like you're part of their family.
I'm the family realtor. So the file comes across your desk, Shamrock orders, the title search.
Yes.
What are the first steps? What are you doing here in this office? What's your staff doing?
Yeah, so our first step is we open the file, right? So we've got the order in from the lender or the realtor, whoever it may come from, and we order the file and then we get it assigned by one of the staff.
Yep.
And from there, we're ordering title, we're ordering MLC, which is a municipal lien certificate, which is the tax certificate for the town. So it gives us a good look on what's owed on taxes. You know, and then we start doing our due diligence. We're making calls, we're making introductions, like big introduction email that goes out to let all the parties know that, you know, Dan's going to be handling the file. So that all the traffic goes to Dan. So it's really about just having that first communication and letting people know who the file's assigned to. You know, that right there alone makes a big difference because people are not looking. You know,
and when you're pulling title specifically, what does that mean? If you told I'm a first-time home buyer, what do you mean you're pulling title? What's title mean? What's that?
Yeah, so title is the description of the property, right? Like who holds the title, who owns the property, are there any liens, is there anything on the chain of title that would be disturbing to us not being able to consume or consummate the closing? Right, so we want to do that due diligence. Sometimes there's no mortgages, there's zero on the title, you know, and that's a great, you know, but sometimes there's past titles where, you know, discharges need to be happened, or there's out of state, there's tax liens, or there could be anything on title.
We have one going now that has an old discharge that wasn't filed that we're trying to track down.
And you know, it's nature and it's the evolution of title. Right, because years ago, like we chased a lot of those equity lines. Like it's probably from Fleet Bank, you know, just inside the statute of the 35 years, you know. So there's all of these things, and then all of a sudden, they used to actually mail the discharges to the clients' homes directly. So what would happen is you get it and be like, oh yeah, I paid it off, boom, 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 and it's gone. Not knowing that you had to actually physically go to the town hall and record that discharge. So we got the Citizens Home Equity Line open from 1997. You know, and
or some bank that's been defunct for 20 years.
So, you know, there's a chain, but again, you know, the first question we usually get, like let's say we have the title back within a week or so, you know, and the first question we let everybody know, like, but we're still going to be able to close on time, right? You know, it's always like, I understand, but I don't know if people truly understand how important the chain is and what it means to you and your family as time goes on. You know, so
because you have to make sure that title is clean. 100%. So somebody doesn't come out of the woodworks and it's some family member from X amount of years ago that says, my great-grandfather owned that house and I have rights to it and this was never discharged, and now it's like, whoa.
I've had a few of those. I mean,
so what happens if that does happen?
Yeah, I mean, you have to...
There's insurance in place, right?
There is. Title insurance covers known and unknown. So in Rhode Island, we have a 35-year statute. So we'd go from today back 35 years, and if we could convey clear title, we would be able to close the transaction. What happens there is the title insurance covers known and unknown. So it can go back from the time that they blocked it and staked it off, like stone walls back then, you know? Like, so there weren't surveys being done back in the times. So, you know, things did get a little, you know, corruption, you know, like, you know, you didn't really have solid boundary lines. So as time went on, you know, it was like we'd walk it and we'd be like, okay, Adam, I'm giving you this, your sister's getting this. And, you know, you start to split up and transfer a property without having like sound work done for it, right? So, you know, it depends if people are holding how they hold title, who they left it, was there a will, was there an estate, was there a trust, was there, so, you know, that's where, you know, having the attorneys here, you know, to review title, cure title, and do the things that we need to make sure that the title is clear and it's done correctly so that we can convey the property so that hopefully you never have that issue come. You know, you never want to call 5 or 6 or 7 years from now and somebody's like, oh my God, I just got a letter saying that I don't own my house. You know, I'm just using that as an example, but...
It could happen.
Well, you know what happens to me is like my chest just starts pounding. Because anytime you feel like you've done something wrong inadvertently. It's just a matter of like making people happy. And I'm a people pleaser. I'll always say that. People always say that about me. But like, you know, disappointing somebody, even though it wasn't something that maybe you didn't have all the control over, still feels the same way to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically the title and all that background, that's really for the benefit of the lender and the buyer.
Correct.
So
100%.
Sometimes you also just have a seller file where you're doing a seller rep here.
Correct.
And I'll get this question all the time. Sellers will be like, well, do I need a closing agent? Do I need a closing attorney? Can I just use who the bank is using? And yes, you could, but you're paying the same fee for that as you would be paying for someone who actually represents you.
Yeah.
So what do you, on the sellers,
So on the seller side,
what are you looking out for?
we refer that obviously to our attorneys, Andrew Pelletier or Greg Hazian or somebody along those lines to obviously give that client a legal representation. So with Balkun Title being just a title and escrow company, we can't technically represent sellers because the law states that you have to be represented by an attorney.
Yeah.
So we facilitate that very easily. But it is important because most
which is
people,
in-house in here.
Correct.
You have the other offices in here.
Exactly. So what the client doesn't understand sometimes, like, well, they'll just do it for cheap isn't always better.
Exactly.
And sometimes like I said, facilitating the transaction sometimes is easier if one person has control over it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if your clients have questions, if they have it's tough to balance the pendulum. If you're doing it all,
because you're neutral at that point.
Correct.
Because you're technically
fiduciary. I mean, any attorney's fiduciary duty is
treat everybody honest and
exactly
fairly.
and fairly. That's right.
Yeah.
And that's usually what gets accomplished. I mean, there's a great amount of attorneys in Rhode Island that work very well, that do a great job.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of easy transactions when on the other side you have X, Y, and Z happening.
Yeah. So speaking of that, there were probably twice or three times as many attorneys as there are realtors, and there's like 8,000 of us. There's only like 5% of that are really full-time, so make sure your agent is full-time. So anyway, I have...
Especially in today's market.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Someone said, I have, my cousin graduated law school 2 years ago. I'm going to have that person do my closing as my buyer's closing agent. Yeah. What are the pitfalls there? Because there's a lot of rules and there's a lot of stuff in place that the average, an accident attorney or a malpractice attorney doesn't have the capacity to be doing the real estate stuff.
And have the white gloves it's just a different feel. So, I'm a firm believer of doing business with family. A lot of people say, you shouldn't do business with family. But if you can't do business with your family, who can you do business with? Friends and family, right? Yeah. But in situations where, in this particular instance, like somebody wouldn't call me or call some of the attorneys in my office and say, hey, I just got into a bad accident, and none of them do personal injury. Yeah. But I would say this is that, staying in your lane sometime is great. Yeah. But from a standpoint of a consumer wanting to use their family member, I'm all for that. I think that's a great thing. Yeah. However, if they're the personal injury attorney, if they're a defense attorney, I mean, I know real estate runs and follows, but there's title insurance. There's many other things.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah. So and I would say even to this fact that I have even seen the fees for a family member be higher than what your referral partner would charge. Yes. Yeah, I've seen it all the time. Yeah. So, when they're trying to save money, they're like, well, I'm trying to save money, I'm going to use my family. Yeah. The consumer or the first-time homebuyer doesn't really understand fee structure or so when they just get my cousin's doing the closing. Great.
Yep. And sometimes they even have whatever company they're working with, maybe it's a union, it's a nurse, it's a doctor, it's all healthcare workers. Yeah. They have all these incentives to use the attorneys that are represented through them. Correct. But it's like, hey, I'm going to save $500. But at the end of the day, I've seen that more times than I can count. At the end of the day, they're not happy with the representation because it's not somebody who does it regularly and understands the process.
And MetLife has that in their union structure. Yeah. I always, again, I'll say this right on camera, I'll match any of those fees so that you have a smoother transaction. Yeah. I get a lot of that. I used to be a big union guy, worked corrections at one point for the state, and they always offered different aspects of different things that you could use as a privilege of the union. Yeah. So I get that part of it. Yeah. But at the end of the day, again, you're trying to streamline a process. We have deposits on hold. There's a lot of moving parts that just doesn't seem like it's like, oh, it's just real estate. But miss a contingency date or miss this, and then you're jeopardizing clients' deposits, their well-being, their interest rates.
Lawsuits.
Well,
Like, just face it, it's not. You don't go to, and again, I'm with you. You got a family member that does something. Hey, awesome. A lot of our business is family friends.
course.
The majority of it,
about
like
that,
99.9%. But the thing is, if I'm having a heart attack, and my cousin Joey is an intern, and he's been going to medical school, or I can be med flighted to Boston with the top premiers. Joey, I love you, brother, but I'm gonna die. I want to go to the best.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's what you got to do.
And again, like I would encourage people to try to do a little more research on their end.
Yep.
That's always important. But again, first-time home buyers, it's a great experience for them. They're listening to their representation, right? They're going through the process on your referral basis, on how you act, on what you refer.
Yep.
So again, if your business continues to run smooth, so doesn't your referral partners.
Exactly.
It starts with you.
Yeah.
I always talk about the funnel.
Yep.
It starts with the realtor, gets to the loan officer or bank, and then gets to us.
Yeah.
So we're the last person they see. So if you've done a great job and the loan office has done a great job, and I spoil it by making somebody wait out in the conference room for 30 minutes, and having them come in, and I just start throwing documents at them, they're gonna be like, and, oh, this wall's not for you guys. Like, you don't get to take a picture here. You have to. It has to go through and through. And I think people that continuously work together in this business and have long-term relationships, it's because of these interactions. It's because of what we do and because of what you do. Because like attracts like. And when we have these same, our company has systems and processes. Yours has system and process. Correct.
The lenders we refer have systems and processes, right down to the home inspectors.
Yeah.
We're all kind of on the same wavelength and all want to provide that excellence in service.
And honestly, ladies and gentlemen, it's a true professionalism. Like, it starts with Adam and his team. Like, they're the ones that, I didn't go to Adam and say, hey, I got this great plan for you. I'm going to set you up and do it. We do that too. Like, we find other vendors or things of that nature. But for the most part, Adam has taken his model from how many years now?
11.
11, right? Yeah. So you start to, I'm sure Adam wasn't the same Adam he was 11 years ago, just like Dan wasn't the same Dan 18 years ago.
Yeah.
So, as we evolve and we find and we go through different things, we find out who we like to work with, who we like to refer, and how are we going to make our clientele happy with our referral business.
Yep. Closing day. So when you're that first-time home buyer, or maybe it's even your second time around, we're doing the closing day is scheduled. And that's another. Let's back up from closing day. Sure. When are they going to be able to actually lock in that closing day date? People think it's what's the contract? Hey, we're going to close on September 1st, but
obviously the contract date, it's a contract, right? So that's the first thing that people don't really truly grasp is that they are actually in a binding contract.
Yeah.
And for most, this may be the first contract they have ever been in their life.
Yeah.
So they don't sometimes. So they're again relying on the sources. Do we meet mortgage contingency? Do we make inspection dates? And again, we should have already met that by the time we get to the closing date.
Yeah.
So if we're closing on the 31st of the month, we need to practice our role in getting everything facilitated up until that point. So, when do we actually schedule a closing? When the lender gives us what's called a clear to close. That means they've run through everything. The documents are done, your appraisal's done, everything works out. The lender says that you are ready to go.
Yep.
And from there, typically what is happening is we get the call from either the realtor or the lender letting us know to contact the client. Yeah. And then we're taking it from there. Yeah. We call the client, we go over their CD with them, they go over their documents with them, anything that they need to over the phone. There's an email that's generated to all the parties letting them know how much money they need to bring to the closing table. The certified check funds need to be made out to personally this and this. Yep. So we take them through all of that, and we look forward to them seeing here. Yeah. So
So then what happens when they closing day that morning or that afternoon? They've done their walkthrough at the house. They're coming. They walk in and they have their license. They have their certified check, or maybe they've wired funds in. They're like, what am I going to do?
So the first thing you do is you put them at ease, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll actually just sit out front in the lobby with the client when they first get here. Yeah. Just say, how you doing? I'm Dan Balkun. I own the company. First time buying a home. I try to find out where they're from a little bit. I grew up in Providence, and lived in different cities, so like I try to see if there's a connection there right away with them.
Yeah.
I know property, so I know like sometimes I grew up in Warwick after Providence, so I try to find out where they're living. Because I have some sort of connection typically with Rhode Island, right?
Yeah.
Or 1 degree of separation.
Yeah.
So, even if it was Woonsocket, like, I'm like, hey, do you know this person? And usually, they do because, everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
But, it's taking that guard down. They're spending $300, like, in their mind, they're like, oh my God, $300,000, $400,000. Like, this is the first time that they've ever even thought about stepping into this arena.
Yep.
So, having a good closing, describing, and going through documents and making them feel like, so, I've always felt like one of the qualities is having the ability to be almost chameleon-like.
Yes.
So $1 million purchase or $100,000 purchase, you have to be able to sway it either way to accomplish the goal, which is to make them feel comfortable, which is to make them sign all the documents, and again, make it a great experience, not just a good experience, a great experience. And it's funny because once they're here, I've gotten calls said, Dan, we're on our way, the client's not happy, or the walkthrough went bad, or they're tough, and so that's why I use the couches out there. I just use that to kind of settle it down. It's almost like
it's a break.
Reset.
Yeah.
We're going to go in it.
Because everything can always be fixed.
Exactly.
Like, in real estate, nobody dies.
Yeah. I always say, I've done a couple other interviews. I always say, my first question to the clients always is, do you want the house still?
Yeah.
And they always say yes, typically.
Yeah.
No, always say yes. I don't say typically, but the typical answer is yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about what you're upset about or what the issue is.
Find a solution.
Sometimes it's they left tires in the basement, or it's just something that could always happen.
Yeah.
But again, you have to be, very easy to talk to, and you have to be able to be, I then can't call the other attorney's office or the title company and be like, your client left it like that.
It doesn't get you anywhere.
You don't catch bees with, you catch them with honey, right? Not with vinegar.
Yeah.
So we try to, you have to be the path of least resistance, but you also have to have their back.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And,
we're all working for the same goal. We're trying to get you home. So sometimes that takes a tough conversation. Sometimes that takes a cooler mind to prevail. But we're all working in that mindset of 10, 15, 20 years ago in real estate where it was us against them, seller against buyer, buyer's agent against seller's agent. I've seen that be squashed in the last decade. That it's really the majority of agents and closing agents are
stood the test of time.
Everyone, let's work together. Hey, we're all working for the same common goal.
It is. I mean, that's important too. I mean, with the types of transactions we've had lately, though, it's been a little tougher.
Yeah.
I think we went through a tremendous push in 2018, 19, 20 through COVID. Now we're at just a different part of the market, right?
Yeah.
So, buyers are being back in a little, even though the interest rates were higher, values are starting to come down and reset a little bit. So you're getting another fluctuation of how the market's going to entail or be detailed to us moving forward. And so that will also cause, more instruction, more education, more tutelage.
Yeah.
And, I'm working on that in the back end as we speak now because...
And that's why we do stuff like this. Because we can only reach so many people. We're in our client base, we're dealing with people and educating them in the moment. But I have several people that are in that beginning stages now, and we refer, hey, check out this video, check out this. And even when we're going to send them to Shamrock for the pre-approval, here's the video. Here's what they're going to ask for you. So you kind of know.
You tee it up, right? I always talk about golf. So like, same thing with a lesson, right? You go in there and you say, okay, I want to do it this way, and then they video you tape, and like, so they make you watch videos of like Tiger Woods, for instance, right? Well, if you could all swing the golf club like Tiger Woods, we wouldn't be doing this video. But what happens is that you give tutorials. So like first-time home buyers. That's why I like Rhode Island Housing or Shamrock. They have these first-time home buyers. So you get certified. You understand. I think that's the difference between, say, 15 years ago when the 07 and the 08s and 06s is that, people weren't educated. Internet wasn't used as much as it is now. So, like,
it was practically non-existent.
So you talked about how it's changed, right? It was non-existent. It was a lot of handshaking at the table. But now you're able to give tutorials to people and say, okay, just watch this first video on how when we first meet, we're going to do this. And once we get under contract, we're going to do this. So that it also makes it feel like they have a little bit of, they feel better. Like it's like I know what I'm doing. Not all the time, but at least.
But it gives them a heads up of what's coming.
It makes their confidence in the transaction much, much better.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so when everyone thinks, hey, we're at the closing, and we've all signed our docs, and hey, I'm going to give you the keys. Is that the end? Like, where does the transition from seller owning the house to buyer owning the house, when does that actually take place?
Sometimes that's like the $1 million question.
Yeah.
You know, is it when the seller actually consummates and signs the deed, transferring the property, and they're right in their mind that they have transferred the property? Is it when we then have them come and sign the mortgage? Is then it done? Or is it not until we take all of that paperwork and go to the town hall or the city hall and record it, right? So you could probably poll 100 people, and you might get 100 different answers.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, you want to make sure that everything is recorded correctly.
Yes.
Everything is on record, as we say. Everything's recorded, and you know, then there's no
doubt.
There's no doubt from, you know, well, my client signed the deed and gave it to you. That means they relinquished, or hey, they signed the mortgage and they're in.
Yeah.
You know, so it's you know, at the end of the day, you know, with COVID, it's changed tremendously how you know, people work. The town halls have gone to some electronic filings, so that allows us to be a little smoother and quicker.
Yes.
But here's the problem with the multiple closings at the same day, because everybody seems to be buying and selling on the same day.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's 3 or 4 transactions all running off of that. So there's
And they all have language that says subject to the closing of, subject to the closing of, and it backs up like dominoes.
And we run into this because, you know, we may have a 9 a.m. closing here, right? And the sellers may be signing in the others in Cranston. Well, that seller or our buyer came in late, 9:30, 10 o'clock. Well, they didn't get done over there. They didn't get me their documents till noon now.
Yeah.
Now, they were supposed to be an 11 o'clock, a 12 o'clock. They're on record. I am on record now, but I have no funds from the other attorney's office or title company that needed to get our buyer's funds here from their sale.
Yeah.
So it runs in, and this is where I wish there was a lot more transparency, and I just wish there was a lot easier going, but I understand where people are at, because the 7th guy down the line that still didn't get their documents on record or didn't get their money says, I'm not giving my keys up until all this happens.
Yeah.
Well, your people they closed at 9 a.m. They were hoping to move into the house. It's Friday. It's now 5 o'clock, and like, they can't achieve it. So hotel rooms or hold harmlesses, or, you know, we're trying to do things to accommodate every party of the transaction.
Yeah.
And it can start as early as 9 a.m. And run all day, which people will not see behind the scenes.
Or through the weekend. Or through the weekend.
Yeah, you're calling.
When stuff closes.
Right. Hey, Dan. You know, did we get the money yet? Did we on record yet? I'm like, no, I haven't gotten. I got the lender funds from Shamrock, but I haven't gotten their $100,000 from their sale.
Yeah.
You know, and I need that because I need to go ahead and record, and I need to then fund and get out to the other attorney who's been waiting for me since 9:30 at 10 o'clock on their money to get it to the next transaction.
Yep.
So the simultaneous transactions, which is happening a lot, obviously, because people are buying and selling and moving up or moving out.
Yep.
That's probably our biggest, you know, moving part for us.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
You know, is trying to satisfy everybody else's needs, but I can't give what I don't have.
Exactly.
You know, and sometimes, you know, people are using gap insurance and still using COVID, and I feel like that is really extracted from the opportunity of the situation.
Yeah.
You know, when COVID first came out, you know, obviously we would have 30 days, 25, you know, 3 weeks until we took those closing documents and actually recorded them because the town halls were closed or working at a different pace.
Yep.
So we're still using some of that lingo, but it's really not that it's not why.
Yeah.
COVID is not the reason why we can't fund or get on record.
Yeah.
You know? And so, but there's insurance, they have insurance behind it, so we use it.
Yep.
And sometimes it helps facilitate that seller going, okay, I'm going to leave the keys here.
Yeah.
You know, and thank you, and you know, enjoy your home.
Well, yeah, you do the insurance, you do the hold
So
harmless agreement.
there's the
there are
seller
many
sold,
ways
seller
to
sold.
get through.
We have a deed.
Yep.
Buyer closed. We have their mortgage.
Yep.
We are waiting for money. Everybody's closed. We just haven't funded yet, but we're not on record. So then, you know, are we going to play nice in the sandbox? Are we not? Like, you got your money, and you were able to move into your house, your transaction well, but the buyer of your house couldn't. So now this guy's going to have to either sit in a hotel over the weekend, or you're going to be nice and gracious enough to allow this family who just, you know, purchased your home, you consummated the deed, they consummated the closing, boom, boom, boom. You know, but again, but everybody feels different. You know, somebody might have had a bad transaction before in the past, and that rolls into why we are who we are today.
And I try to be conscious of that. I mean, a lot of people, I want to close on Friday because I close on Friday, and then I'll move in Saturday, Sunday. I'm like, that's great, but if that scenario happens, you're not going anywhere.
Right,
But if we have a closing that's Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, we still have Thursday and Friday to fix whatever's going to be fixed, and then you still get in.
Realtors, if you're watching this, please stop making closing dates all the time for the last day of the month.
Yeah. Why? Why is it always the 30th
I'd rather
and the
close
31st?
the day before the end of the month. This way, if we have to record the next morning, the movers are like, it's just when you're trying to do it all. And I understand because people have leases from apartments or houses where they're coming from. So, but yeah, if you
got to
can
leave
pass
space.
you got to leave just a. There's that you need it. You need it because again, not every lender. You know, today is the day that they didn't have their package there the night before.
Yeah.
Right. So now the 9 o'clock happens, and unfortunately, we don't get the docs till 9:30.
Yep.
It happens.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It happens to great lenders, and it happens to some
All the time.
11.
Yeah.
But so like, if everybody's working off that 9 a.m.
Yeah.
and then it snows out that morning, or it's torrential downpours,
Yeah.
or the clients took longer on the walkthrough, the traffic.
Yeah.
You know, and all of a sudden we've pushed everything back hours.
Yeah.
And we haven't even started the day.
Yep.
And the phones start ringing.
Yeah. But
know?
you handle it well. This office handles it very well.
I
This
believe
conductor.
so. I am.
It's all right. Let's bring the tempo down. Everything's all right.
As I always say, I'd rather be part of the solution and not the problem.
Yeah, exactly. So in closing, I always close with this to everyone we've done interviews with. If there's one piece of advice you could give, say it's you would give it to yourself, your family member, whoever it is, when choosing somebody to represent for a title and closing. What is that advice that you would tell them? What do you want them to look for?
I would say a few things. One, I really truly believe working with the referral partners of the referral are important.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have a company set up and you have everybody in place, it would only make sense if it was a first-time home buyer to be led by great instruction. Right? So listening is probably the best thing that I can tell anybody in a transaction, because there are going to be times where you have to then facilitate off of what's happened, inspection reports, reviews, title.
Yeah.
You know, but at the end of the day, I would say that listening to the referral partner, use the referral partners.
Yeah.
You know, that will typically make things go smoother.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, local lenders, you know, so sometimes we have pre-approvals coming in from banks. I have no idea where they're even from. And you know, and as the listing agent, you're like, ugh, strong offer. I love the family. They wrote a nice letter about how they want this property.
Yeah.
And the pre-approval letter is like from somebody that you've never heard of.
Yeah.
And now you're like, all right, we accept the offer. You know, and then all of a sudden it's 2 or 3 weeks, no communication.
Yeah.
3 weeks, no appraisal.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
we're trying to
It's
slide in
scary.
a fast closing.
Yeah.
You know, and then all of a sudden, oh, guess what? I'm going to switch lenders. I'm going to go with Shamrock, or I'm going to go with one of your referrals, Adam.
Yeah.
You know, and that happens. So, you know, you can't convince everybody to persuade them outside of what they want to do as well.
Exactly.
But I would say in real estate transactions, it's super important, people. If I could give any advice, to use the partners and to listen to what their referral partners are. You want to streamline your process. You don't want the headaches. You don't want to be on Dan's couch doing therapy sessions when you first walk in.
Yeah.
You want it to be something as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
You know, and I see frustration too, because like, you know, you introduce like the loan officer and I jump right on, how you doing? If you need anything, fees, like I love to be interactive right off the beginning.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, crickets.
Yeah.
You know, and then a week later, hey, haven't heard anything yet. Do you need fees? Do you need title? And you know, what do you need from us?
Yeah.
Crickets.
Yep.
You know, and then like now the client's like, I haven't heard from them either. And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, we need to switch gears. You know, because they promised a better rate or they promised.
Exactly.
Yeah, they most of the online are all rate driven.
Yeah.
And what people don't understand, I mean, at 6.5, I mean, it is a qualifying measure now.
Yeah.
You know, but as you've seen, we're at 6% now. We were just at 2.5%, you know, 8 or 9 months ago. Those rates will eventually come back. So even buying at a little, the average person only holds a mortgage 5 to 6 years.
Yes. Yeah.
So the chances of you keeping a 30-year mortgage at 6% is almost impossible.
Yeah.
And to think like I'm going to keep a 30-year mortgage at 5.875 is even more impossible.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So like
Yep.
sometimes it comes down to strict payment. Sometimes it just comes down to winning.
Yeah.
You know, and some clients feel like they win if they have a lower interest rate.
Yeah.
And interest isn't the only thing that they should be interested in.
Exactly.
You know, but if we're born and raised on when we buy our house, you know, interest rate's everything.
Yeah.
It's really payment.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it really comes down to payment more than interest rate.
Yep.
Interest isn't a bad thing. Tax write-offs, things
Yeah.
of that nature. So, but for the first-time home buyer, it's close to the vest.
Yep.
You know, they're trying to figure out the best deal for them.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where, you know, being a good advisor is important. It's
Yep.
not just being a realtor. I think it's a realtor advisor.
That's
it's a
exactly
mortgage.
it.
You're not a mortgage. You're a mortgage advisor.
Yep.
You know, if people took the advisor role just a little bit deeper, you know, I think we'd have a lot better transactions.
Yes, 100%.
As opposed to, you know, I love the, you know, oh, I got the deal up. You know, this market's been great. And it's slowed down, but the reason why I say it's great is because, as you talked about the 8,000 or 9,000 realtors that are in
Yeah.
the business, you know, I saw a lot of braggadocious posting over the last 3 years or 4 years or so.
Yeah.
You know, sold.
Sold over asking.
110 over asking.
Yeah.
You know, and then they're videotaping all of the open
Yeah.
houses.
They
down
didn't
the
have
road.
anything to do with it.
And now I'm saying, okay, where is all that?
Yeah.
Right? So if you start looking up MLS numbers, you start looking up other, Adams numbers are going to be right in line every year, consistency,
Yep.
one after year after the other.
Yeah.
You're not going to do 150 one year and do 7 the next. You know,
Yeah.
because of opportunities like this,
Yep.
because of partners that we have. So, you know, just because somebody appears to be great on Facebook, or,
Yeah.
you know, they are selling those houses, but where are they now? What was their game plan? Did they structure anything? Did they have a team concept? Did they have referral partners? Did they vest in themselves in
Yeah.
the business? And I think what happened is that over the last couple of years, it became very easy, just like it was back 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And you'll start to see people not review.
You're
You
already-
can see
you're
the
seeing
numbers
it,
now.
yeah.
So if you just look and you can see closed transactions,
Yeah.
you know, everybody's well off. Not the
Yeah.
people that have been producing over the years.
The top 100 you see pretty much stays the same.
Correct.
And then it's beyond that, you see all top 100 has big numbers for units.
Yeah.
And as soon as you get beyond that, you see
Yeah.
it drop off to a handful.
Like single digits.
Yeah.
Where those single digits last year were probably, if they closed, they might have closed 20 to 25 last year.
Yeah.
They're in the 7 or 8 this year.
Yeah.
You know, so.
All right. Well, thank you so
Yes,
much for
sir.
doing this
Yeah,
today. I
appreciate
appreciate
it.
it.
Yeah.
Guys, you've been watching the Home Buyer 101 series sponsored by TMF team at Shamrock Home Loans. We're here at Balkun Title and Closing. Contact them. Check out their website if you want more information about them. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.
Thank you.